So we're going to skip ahead and assume that you were able to write a script or work with a partner for the same result. Good. Now the work begins.
Round one, fight!
Hello, my name is Robert Higgins, and if you're just finding us or if you're following along, the first round of our Cinema Challenge series is dedicated to the definitive guide for how to make a movie for $1,000. Now, I don't want to take anything away from you. If you manage to literally finish a script, then writing anything well is hard. Writing a script is getting away with murder hard. Think about this. You are writing the text-based blueprint for images that are going to move. This shit is no joke. Now that you're finished, just take some time, at least 2 weeks. Put the script on the shelf and just let that script percolate in the back of your mind. For this next part, it's really helpful if you've written your first draft by hand. If not, then, just print it out. Your script is probably too long or too short, so it's time to cut. Even if you manage to land right on the money with 20 pages for a short or 80 pages for a feature, you need to cut because more pages is more time. More time is more days is more money, and you're making a movie for $1,000. So how do you cut stuff? Bottom line, everything has to fit or it has to work. There are a lot of screenwriting rules and formulas that different people will tell you that you need to follow, but the one thing that everybody agrees on that your script needs is setups and payoffs. The most famous example of this is Chekhov's gun. If you show a gun in the first act, then you have to use it in the third act. All of that is just fancy talk for what I like to say, which is if you have third act problems, you have first act solutions. In The Matrix, the resurrection of Keanu Reeves' character Neo is paying off at least 3 setups. Number 1, the Oracle tells Neo that he is not the one.
Now I'm supposed to say, that's interesting, but then you say...
But what?
But you already know what I'm going to tell you.
I'm not the one.
Sorry, kid. You got the gift, but it looks like you're waiting for something.
What?
Your next life, maybe. Who knows?
Now get up.
Number 2, Neo asks Trinity, what did the Oracle tell her?
Did you go to her?
Yes.
What did she tell you?
She told me, Neo, I'm not afraid anymore. The Oracle told me that I would fall in love and that the man that I loved would be the one.
And number 3, Morpheus tells Neo what he's capable of.
What are you trying to tell me? That I can dodge bullets?
No, Neo. I'm trying to tell you that when you're ready, you won't have to.
No.
These are examples of things that fit. The audience loves to be rewarded for their attention. However, you still need to cut the fat, meaning cut any scene that doesn't move the plot forward or do significant character work, and ideally both. For example, there's a scene in Aliens where Paul Reiser's character Burke tells Ripley that she's been missing for decades, meaning everyone she loved, including her daughter, is dead. Ripley starts to have what looks like a panic attack, but is actually an alien bursting out of her chest. Now this all turns out to be a dream, but in a roughly 3-minute scene, you've given out pathos, exposition, jump scares, and character motivation without slowing the movie down. It's a masterclass. It's also a great example of the adage, show, don't tell. We've all seen movies where characters just explain the plot, slow down the movie, and bore the audience. Don't do that. A great example of this is the Mr. DNA sequence in Jurassic Park. It gives out exposition in the form of a theme park ride. This scene is actually so good that Marvel stole it a few decades later for the Miss Minute scene in Loki, proving once again that good writers borrow and great writers steal. Now you've cut the fat and made sure that your payoffs are set up correctly. It's time to do a character pass. During a character pass, you want to make sure of 3 things. A, your characters only do what they're motivated to do. B, that they have growth of some kind unless the point is that they don't grow, in which case the world has to grow around them. And C, that your characters don't sound the same. Now for the first 2, the movie that embodies everything that your character should not do in a movie is Wonder Woman 84. This movie has characters with shaky motivation. Wonder Woman essentially kidnaps a man from his life because the soul of her ex-boyfriend is living in his body. Then at the end of the movie, they try to act like this is okay by making the dude she kidnapped into a potential love interest because he doesn't remember being kidnapped. Cringe. Now I get it. These examples are from mainstream Hollywood joyrides, and we're making $1,000 indie film ride shares. The scope is obviously not going to be the same. But these movies are easy to cite because they're popular and therefore in the public consciousness, and so it therefore gives us a language we can all speak. Making character voices different is, well, that could be a video all on its own. But since we're about to get into feedback, what I can say is that you should make sure to distinguish between the character voices on the page. Most of the people who are going to read your script are probably not writers, and they will get lost reading pages and pages of same sounding dialogue. Now after you've rewritten your script with paid off setups, memorable characters, and great dialogue, it's time to see how you did. Find a sucker to read it. Get as many eyes as you can on your script, not just other film people, but anyone who you think might be part of your potential audience. That being said, not all feedback is created equally. People will bring their own experiences and biases to your project, and you want to be open, but you don't want to get bogged down by notes. Stick to the points we've already established. Does this note help pay off a setup or vice versa? Does it help motivate a character or improve their dialogue? If so, take the note. Also, look for trends. 1 note is an anomaly. 2 notes is something to be considered, and 3 notes, this section of your script is on fire. Please respond immediately. Some final points here. When getting feedback, you may feel strongly in the opposite direction of the notes. When that happens, hit the veto button. But don't be a tyrant, guys. Making movies is about collaboration, so limit the number of times you're willing to push that button. I personally limit myself to about 3 times per the entire production, so I'm certainly not going to waste more than 1 during the script phase. When you're doing your dialogue pass, know that you're only really getting your script to about 85%. The rest is going to come during casting, and more importantly, during your table read, where you're really going to see how your script flies. And finally, you may get formatting notes on your screenplay from other screenwriters. Feel free to take them, but don't get mired in notes about proper screenwriting format. This is a $1,000 movie that you're making, not selling, so look up the script for A Quiet Place. The screenwriting format is infinitely adaptable. Next week, we've got some much needed motivation for you while you're getting feedback, or more likely still writing your script. So for those words of encouragement, hit the bell so you get notifications when we post, and please like and subscribe. We got to get through this to get to the fun stuff. So go on, you've got work to do.
Yeah, you love it, Qui-Gon Jinn.